In this video, I am going to cover Amazon storage solutions. The first one is Amazon S3 or Amazon Simple Storage Service. And the second one, which has been recently launched, that is called Amazon Glacier. Now first let's talk about Amazon S3 and see what is Amazon S3 and how it helps in storing your data and what are the additional advantages that you can take out of that. Amazon S3 is a storage for internet. Whatever you store on Amazon S3 bucket is highly reliable and scalable. There is no such limit how much data that you can put on the Amazon S3 bucket. So the thing is that really helps in scaling up your environment. Let's say you start with 10 MB and end of the, you can say 6 months or so, you start getting 1 terabytes of data coming from your users and you're uploading that on your S3 bucket. That is very much supported by Amazon. So at the max it supports up to 5 terabytes by default, but if you want more storage you can write that to Amazon and you'll get more storage. There is no such limit for that. And what are the advantages of using S3? The first thing is you can save your static data on the S3. Now, for example, images and all that stuff that you want to use in your website, you can save that stuff on S3 and access those images and videos directly from S3 within your code. Secondly, it actually allows you to host a fully static website as well. So if you have a HTML based website with few images and few CSS, you can straight away host that website on Amazon S3 and add the CNAME for that in your DNS and you are good to go. You don't need anything else to run your website. Another thing is that it integrates with other Amazon services also. For example, for notifications it integrates with SNS. For content delivery network it integrates with CloudFront. So it is very easy to integrate with other services. And again, it's cost effective. You have to pay what you use. So before you actually start storing data on S3, you have to create a container which is called bucket. So here you have to specify the region where you want to create the bucket and the bucket name. Let's say, so this bucket name should be unique. My first bucket 1212 and create. So as you can see here, your bucket has been created and on the right side you can see the properties for your bucket. This is the name of your bucket and this is the region where it got created and this is the owner. Here you specify some of the permissions. So this is the my admin account and I have got all the permissions who can access my account, and moreover I can add more permissions here. For example, if I want everyone to list the contents, I can do so. There is also a bucket policy that we can actually set up here. But before we talk about this thing, we need to talk several other things and we will come back to this thing later on. So as I said earlier, you can actually host your static website here. So this is the dynamically generated domain name or endpoint that's been provided to you by Amazon S3 bucket. And you can enable your website hosting, and what will be the default document that will open when this link will be hit. Let's say index.html, and what will the error document? Let's say error.html, and save this thing. Logging. So whoever is going to access your website, it actually creates access logs. So these are the industry standard W3C compliant logs which you can analyze with any other industry standard log analyzer. If you want to keep the logs enabled, you can enable it and you can save it in any other bucket. You can save it in the same bucket, or if you have multiple buckets, you can save it in that bucket also. So just give the prefix whatever so that those logs will be generated and saved under logs folder. Save this thing. And notifications, So here we have to use the Amazon SNS service. So we'll talk about SNS later on, and then we'll see how you can actually use SNS service to send the notifications. Now this is the life cycle. This integrates really well with Amazon Glacier. So another thing is, if you want your requester page, let's say the one who is accessing your bucket, that guy pays you rather than you paying to Amazon, you enable this thing. But for this, you have to disable the anonymous user accessibility to your user. Then you really have to have the Amazon accounts of other users. Those needs to be filled in, those needs to be integrated with your bucket, so that those Amazon accounts will be charged and not your Amazon account will be charged. And versioning here it is very much similar to any other version control software that we use, for example Subversion or Git. So it keeps the versioning of your data at regular intervals, so that even if you accidentally delete any file, you can retrieve that from the older versions. So that was all about bucket properties, how you can set up various parameters as per your requirement. Now let's click on this bucket, and as you can see, this bucket is empty as of now. Let's try to upload something. Add files. Let's upload this thing and start upload. So as you can see, this management console enables us to upload the data or upload the files. It was not the case earlier, and most of the times you are not going to use this thing to upload the data. The one other thing that you can use to access your S3 bucket is Cloudberry Explorer. So you need to configure this thing. If you click on file, here it says Amazon S3 account, and you can create new account, fill in your display name, access key and secret key. Every account comes with access key and secret key, and then your account will be created just like these two accounts that you can see here. And as you can see, my first bucket 1212 is the one which I just created, and it also contains webserver.ppk. Now let's upload an HTML file and see how that web hosting thing is working or not. So upload one test.html file to the bucket, and as you may recall, we have enabled the web hosting properties. So this file has been uploaded using Cloudberry Explorer for Amazon test.html, and go back here and copy this link and give the name of your file. So as you can see, this file has been rendered and displayed on your screen. So similarly, you can host your entire static website here, and if you don't want to use this thing, you can take up your own domain, you register your own domain and make the CNAME entry for this particular domain, so that you access with your own custom DNS rather than the one generated by S3. Now let's go back to your virtual server once again. So I'll show you a command line utility that you can use to access your S3 bucket. Click on instance and copy your public IP. Switch to root user, yum install S3 CMD. So it installs the S3 CMD utility, which you can use to access your Amazon S3 buckets. Now before you actually start using it, you need to configure this utility. start with dash dash configure, and here you have to specify your access key. Now where to get your access key? Under your name, click on security credentials. Here you can get this access key tab, expand this thing, and again click on the legacy security credentials link. It may ask for you to sign in again. Just provide the master account information. And here you can see this is your access ID. Let's fill in there. And this is your secret access key. Copy this thing and fill in there. You need an encryption password? No, I don't need. And just hit the enter. Just keep the default values. Save this thing. Now as you can see here, your access key and secret access key worked fine. Now it's time to use this thing, S3 CMD, and then type ls. Here you can see my first bucket. This is the name of the bucket which I created. So you can see this bucket. Let's create a file, take one, and S3 CMD put take 1 2. So this is how you can upload your files to the S3 bucket. And if you want to list the content of your S3 bucket, you can specify ls, and after ls specify your bucket name. So take one, this is what I have uploaded just now. test.html was already there, and this is the one which we uploaded using the Amazon console. Now if you want to create one more bucket, S3 CMD, type MB, and here you have to specify my second bucket 1212. Again list it, and here you can see 2 buckets. So for all the commands, just type help, and you'll see all these commands that are possible that you can use with your S3 CMD utility. You can use this utility inside your code also, or you can consume the APIs in your code so that you can upload or download the data to and from Amazon S3 buckets. So let's go to S3 again and see if the newly created bucket can be seen there or not. So this is my second bucket, this is my first bucket. So this is how you can actually create buckets, delete buckets, upload content, set some permissions, enable the website hosting property, enable logging. Thanks for watching guys, and stay tuned for more videos.